It's a real honor and a privilege for me to present the Veterans Affairs and Military Construction Appropriations Bill to the House of Representatives today with my good friend from Georgia, Sanford Bishop. This is a bipartisan bill that we produced together with the unanimous support of the committee and the subcommittee to ensure that our veterans and our men and women in uniform have everything that they need to do their job with complete peace of mind. In fact, I often think of the job of this subcommittee as the peace of mind subcommittee, to be sure that our men and women in uniform have everything they need when it comes to their physical infrastructure, and that when they leave the services and go into the VA system, they have everything they need. I believe that, if I could, Mr. Speaker, the House is not, and Mr. Chair, the House is not in order.
If you have a conversation, take it outside. Can we have order in the Committee of the Whole?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Making sure that our men and women in uniform have everything that they need, making sure that our veterans, when they leave the service, have all the medical care, the best possible medical care this country can provide, is one of those fundamental functions of the government that we have an obligation as guardians of the Treasury, as good stewards of our taxpayers' hard-earned dollars, to ensure that this vital core function of our federal government is fulfilled to our veterans and our men and women in uniform. We have in this appropriations bill, Mr. Chairman, we've included $71.5 billion in discretionary funding, which is a $1.8 billion less than last year and $398 million less than the budget request. Now we have the full budget request number of $6.6 billion for military construction projects, but we have, while we provided $1.8 billion less in fiscal year 14, we've included $64.7 billion in discretionary funding for the VA, which is about $1.5 billion more than last year. We've included an additional $20 million to get at the claims backlog and $17 million more that was requested for electronic medical records. Now, we are, in this legislation, ensuring that we have continued strict oversight of the VA in their reporting requirements on the claims backlog, the length of time it takes a veteran to receive the disability benefits that they have earned is just unacceptable. And so Mr. Bishop and I have included language in this bill which makes it, we have very strict reporting requirements that we will continue to exercise vigorous oversight in the months ahead over the VA to ensure that the claims backlog is reduced. And we're also introducing a mechanism here that we found to be very effective, and that is to, in the case of the electronic health records, the VA and the Department of Defense are operating two completely different medical record systems that don't talk to each other. So when you're in uniform in the armed forces, when you leave and go into the private sector and the VA picks you up, the VA can't read your medical records. Well, this is just unacceptable. Since 2008, the Congress has had laws on the books that require the VA and the Department of Defense to have a transparent, interoperable medical record that would be easily and quickly readable when a service member leaves the active service and goes into the VA system. But they're still not there. So we have in this bill a mechanism that says you're only going to get 25% of your money up front on implementing an electronic health record until you come back and show us that you're meeting your obligation under the law to provide an immediate, seamless, and transparent transfer of your medical records from the Department of Defense to the VA. Chairman Rogers, in particular, I want to thank him for his support in this effort, because he had a constituent that I'm confident he'll mention and talk about in a minute, a young man in his district that really struck a chord with me, and there's no it's a tragic example of how unacceptable this is. The one agency can't read the medical records of the other. A young man who was injured, lost his eyesight, I believe, Mr. Chairman, in Afghanistan, had one eye, lost the vision in one eye, but damaged the other eye. Still had some vision in the other eye. So when he left the service to go into the VA, and the VA needed to work on his other eye immediately in order to save his vision, the VA could not read the medical record provided to them by the Department of Defense, and the doctors at the VA, understandably being cautious and concerned, they couldn't read the records, didn't operate as quickly as they should have, and the young man lost his eyesight as a result of the medical record being unreadable by the VA. Tragic, unacceptable, utterly outrageous, and so we're going to require the agency to, and this, I'm working closely with the chairman of the Armed Services Appropriations Subcommittee. Chairman Rogers has been terrifically helpful in this, as is ranking member Lowy, and my good friend Mr. Bishop from Georgia. We're working with the Armed Services Subcommittee on Appropriations to put identical language in the bill, so the DOD's in the same boat. You're going to have to earn your money. Prove to us that you're obeying the law, that you're fulfilling your obligation to our veterans, to our men and women in uniform, and then we'll release the money. Follow the law, and you get your money. Works every time in the private sector. It's certainly, I'm confident, going to work here. I often think of the fact that I've been using an Apple Macintosh computer since they first came out in 1985. I never dreamed that you'd be able to use a Windows operating system on a Macintosh computer, but today you can run Microsoft Word and other Windows programs on a Macintosh operating system. Surely if Apple and Windows can work it out, the VA and the Department of Defense can as well. And this bill ensures that that is going to happen. If they want to see the rest of their money, they're going to have to obey the law and get an interoperable, transparent medical record system in place. Now, Mr. Chairman, we've also limited the availability of construction funds in this bill to 5 years for hospitals that the VA builds, so the veterans don't have to wait endlessly for the completion of a hospital. I'll never forget when I first got this marvelous assignment. It was assigned by Chairman Rogers to handle this important bill, that the Denver hospital had $900 million, I believe, set aside, squirreled away in a hole. They hadn't, I don't think they'd signed a contract or turned a spade of dirt, but they had $900 million squirreled away for years that they had not used in order to build that sorely needed hospital in Denver. That's just unacceptable. This money that we are privileged to be stewards of was earned by our constituents by the sweat of their brow and their hard work, and it's our responsibility to ensure that the money is wisely spent, that it is spent to ensure that the law is enforced, and above all, that we do not spend any more than is absolutely necessary to fulfill the fundamental obligations of the United States government, and that, at the top of that list, is to ensure that our veterans receive the medical care that they've earned, that they receive the disability benefits that they've earned in a timely fashion, and that our men and women in uniform have all the physical facilities they need to do their job with the peace of mind and the assurance the United States Congress and the American taxpayers are right there with them, looking over their shoulder to take care of them. That's why this is the Peace of Mind Committee, and it's a privilege for me to serve with my good friend from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, to whom I'm happy to I will reserve the balance of my time so my good friend Mr. Bishop can address the House.